guys. Okay, please tell me if my microphone isn't working, because I swear to God, every goddamn time this happens, when my stream starts, my microphone won't work, and it's because my cats jump on my computer and they knock the microphone off and it doesn't work. Hi, please tell me if you can hear me. Hi. Please tell me if you can hear me. Oh my god. This would be like the third time that this has happened if my microphone didn't work. And I swear, if it doesn't work, I'm just gonna quit streaming. Oh, thank God. Okay. Also, one other thing is that my cats have been sleeping all morning. But the moment I talk on camera, they're gonna be super noisy. So I'm just gonna like apologize in advance for how noisy and inconsiderate my cats are. Bitrate looks low. I don't know why. It looks fine on my OBS, but on my YouTube it does look a bit low. Yeah, I wanna stream more, just like cat streams, because that's more what I wanna do. And yeah, there's a bunch of games I wanna play. I'm playing Needy Streamer Overdose right now. And I can't stream it because it has sexual content and talk about like drugs and self-harm, so I can't stream it. But once I'm done with that, there's a bunch of games I want to stream. I love to hear the cats in the background. It brings me joy. It brings me no joy. Like, he only does it when I start talking at a camera. I'm not joking. And it's because he doesn't like me giving anyone else attention but himself. My cat is saying he wants to join the talk. Yeah, he's just a needy little boy. Hi guys. Okay, the reason I'm doing this stream is actually all this week I have job interviews, but I have a job interview today at 4 and I have like a bunch of time, so I'm just chilling. So I thought I felt a bit lonely, not gonna lie. I just wanted to talk to someone. So yeah, I have a job interview today. I had one yesterday. I think I have one on Friday as well, so it's just like a bad time. And I wanted to complain about all the job interviews I've been having. I might make a video about job interviews. I'm not sure if I should do it after I get employed, because I don't know if that's gonna hurt my chances of getting a job. Hi Diego. Hi Grams. Oh god, there's a lot of people. Thanks for coming. I didn't know anyone would come. Like, what day is it today? I'm so jobless. I don't even know what day. I think it's Wednesday today. Yeah, so my plan is today I have a job interview and then I'm gonna go see Guardians of the Galaxy. But oh my god guys, I cannot stress enough how horrible it has been interviewing for jobs. I feel like since I looked for jobs like 6 years ago, it's got much worse. A lot of my friends are also doing job interviews and we're having the same issue. Like, I'm interviewing for jobs and the interviews are in like 4 or 5 parts, and these aren't like really good jobs. They're just like normal jobs. I'm like, why on earth would you need me to interview in 5 parts? It's ridiculous. And I've been doing a mix of job interviews. I did one. Okay, I'll talk about all the interviews I've been doing. So I want to have another part-time English teaching job because that's what I did before, and I have a lot. Like, I have side jobs, so like it's more about getting a visa and getting a little bit of money for me. So I'm not too worried about salary, but again, like, I don't want to work for minimum wage because I've been working here for 9 years. So like the first interview I did was for like, it was an SMS job for a company that exports Japanese candy. And like, you know those like silly boxes where you like they put like random snacks in and they send them overseas? So it was like that, right? So I did a job for them, and oh my god, the worst experience of my life. This interview took 1 month, and at first I had to record a video, like a self-introduction, and then I sent that, and that was fine. And then I had to have a Zoom call with them, and they asked me all the questions that were in my video. So like they didn't even like they didn't watch my video clearly, even though they interviewed me after my video. So they asked me the same questions, I answered them. Then my cat just jumped up, sorry. And then they asked me, they wanted me to start making content for them. I'm like, okay, I don't mind making content for you if it's a little bit. So we agreed to meet up. I had a meeting with them in person, and they gave me so much stuff. And the thing, hi Blep. The thing they wanted me to do was really complicated. It was like to do with a tier system, and so I made a bunch of content for them, and I edited it, and I sent it to them, and they did actually pay me a little bit. Like, actually, it cost more money to make this content than it did the money they gave me, but like, whatever. So I did that for them, and then this whole time they're like, yeah, you're a really good fit for the company, it seems like you're gonna get the job. And I'm like, cool, when does the job start? And then they wouldn't tell me, and they're like, oh, we're unsure yet. And I'm like, why are you hiring like on LinkedIn and posting listings for a job that you don't know when it's gonna start? But anyway, so like we did that for a while, and then I did the content for them. They seemed happy with the content, and then like a week went by, and I noticed whenever they said they'd email me the day, they would email me a few days after that. So immediately they're already like really just disorganized and not good at communication. Yeah, right. And I'm like, so I started to feel like, are they just trying to get influencers to make content for them? Because if they wanted me to make content for them, they could have DM'd me. But actually, I don't like making like subscription box content, or like in general. Like, I'm very picky about brands that I make content for, because a lot of the time the companies are a little bit dodgy. So yeah, I waited a little bit more, and then I was like, can I have an update? Because like I really wanted to do this job because it's just making content, and the content they make a lot of content about just like in Japan, and I would be really good at that. And I really wanted a job where I can get out the house, or like I wouldn't be trapped in the office. So for me, I thought that it would be a good fun job. So then they just wouldn't tell me when, and then she asked if I could make more content for them. I'm like, okay. And I went to meet her at the office, and she gave me so much stuff. Like, I had a suitcase and a giant bag full of like products to make content with, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm already like getting bored of this. So like I started to make content for them, and I got halfway through, I sent them some content, they gave me feedback, and then I asked them again, like, are you gonna hire me? And then she said, oh, you're in our last 3 candidates. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So then it was a little bit more, and then eventually they told me, oh, we went with another candidate. So I just stopped making content for them, and I just said, okay, I'm just gonna give you back the stuff, because honestly this has just been a horrible experience. It took like a month, and I know that like job interviews in marketing, sometimes you will have to make content, but it was just for me the fact that they didn't give me a deadline, they didn't say how long it was gonna take, and this whole time, like, I've been talking to other jobs, and these other jobs are like, can you work with us or not? And in Japan, when you're a foreigner, a lot of the time you're gonna be working from contract to contract, and like my last job has ended, and I need to find my next employment. So for me, it just wasted a whole bunch of time, and I did turn down a couple of jobs in that time. So like that was a not great experience. And the other thing, I applied, and I actually got a job with this kind of like eikaiwa. And this eikaiwa is great. Honestly, the company is really, really cute. It's sponsored by a very big American brand, so like a household name, like a very big brand. Hi Raya. And so it like the company's good. Like, I'm not gonna knock this company. So I had a Zoom call with them. They liked me. I went to the office, had an interview. They decided to hire me. So the reason I decided to go with this job is they said it was part-time, and they have schools really near to my house, like around my station. The stations around, each one of those have a school, which is great, because like honestly there's not, I was surprised, there's not that much around where I live. So I'm like, great, I can just take a train and get to work in like 5 minutes. And that's really the only reason I chose this job. So yeah, then I did orientation with them for like 3 or 4 hours, and I had to do a bunch of training, blah 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 blah. I'm like, cool. They said that they would mail me in a week with the positions. They mailed me, and they only had like 4 or 5 positions, and they're like 1 or 2 hours a day. So the maximum you're gonna make is like, I don't know, 6,000 yen in a day. One, it's impossible for me to find another job that is gonna work around that schedule. And the schools they sent me, none of them were in my area. They were like the other side of Tokyo. Hi, Neko-cha. So like, I went through this long process. I did the training. I got hired. I'm like legally working for them, and they don't have anything where I live, and the positions they do are only for like 1 or 2 hours, and it's just not gonna work. So that was also just a big waste of my time. So now I've wasted like 3 weeks to a month on interviews and orientation and training on jobs that I'm not gonna work for. So it's just been like not great. So I mailed a lot of companies. I had one more interview. This is a job I actually didn't get. This is so far it seems like I got most of the interviews. I got most of the jobs, but then it turned out like the job didn't work for me. It's like not in my area. Yahoo! And this is another thing, that a lot of my friends are having, because so many of my friends are looking for jobs right now. Is that you'll apply for a job and they'll tell you it's in your area, and then you'll find out it's not. And this happens so much, and I'm like, please, I don't want to commute 2 hours from my house. That's impossible. Hi, Emu. I'm just talking about the shitty situation I have with looking for a job right now. Yeah, and like this has happened to me a lot. So I had an interview and a Zoom call 2 days ago for a teaching company I used to work for. So I'm like, I don't know why I have to interview again. Like I already work for you guys, and it was great. Like we left on great terms. So I'm like, cool. So we had a Zoom call, and I had to do this long interview. I had to answer like questions about teaching. He wanted me to role play. I had to fucking role play. It was so embarrassing. I'm on call, and then we're role playing. He was in the office, so I decided to punish him, and I made him do head, shoulders, knees, and toes in his office, and he was really embarrassed. Then he was like, okay, yeah, okay, we'll hire you. I'm like, good. Okay, so you said you had a position where I live. And again, he's like, yeah, I have this position. And he told me the place. I'm like, babes, that's 2 hours from where I live. And he just wasn't too familiar with like stations and like I guess the geography of Tokyo. I'm like, for fuck's sake, this is like the 4th time this has happened. Anyways, I got this one. The one I didn't get, apart from the SNS job, there was one teaching job I didn't get. It's because it was like only Saturday, and the salary was really, really good. So I'm like, cool, I can probably find a job in a weekday, and I'll take this job on Saturday. Whatever ever happens, I can take this job. So it's just an English teaching job, you know, like 9 to 5, just normal, where I would be the only teacher, and I'm totally fine with that. So we have this Zoom call, and he's like, oh, by the way, this is a homeroom teacher position. I'm like, bruh, a homeroom teacher is a lot of work. I've worked in Japanese schools, and like I don't want to be a homeroom teacher. Like I don't get how you'd be a homeroom teacher for 1 day a week anyways. But a homeroom teacher is so much work. Like the salary wasn't bad, but to be a homeroom teacher it'd have to be way more, because you'd have to like grade stuff, contact their parents, order their food, like blah blah blah. It's just way too much work. So I'm like already like but I'm like, I do need a job though, so maybe I'll take it. And then I'm like, so about the salary on the website, and this has happened to me so many times, I'm like, on the website it says the salary is either 3,000 yen or 4,000 yen based on experience. 4,000 yen please, I've been a teacher for 9 years. And immediately he's like, and he starts scribbling something down, and that's the moment I knew I lost the job, because I asked for the higher salary. And this happened to my friend recently. Oh yeah, roleplay sucks. Oh my god, you're so correct. Yeah, role-playing is Sekihara. I had this before. I have another YouTube video where I talked about job interviews I did before, and one of them, it did kind of feel like Sekihara. Like he wanted to roleplay a baby, and he was like rolling on the floor and going, it was fucking weird, and I just did it, and I ended up getting that job, and I worked there for like a year. But it was just a bad experience. So like when I start talking about roleplay, I get squicked. But yeah, so like this happened to my friend recently, where she applied for a job, like a managerial job, and it was a really not great job. Like the salary wasn't fantastic, but it seemed like something she wanted to do in Tokyo. She applied. They said the salary is either this or this based off experience. She has a ton of experience. Oh wait, that's my cat's automatic feeder, so you might hear them munching. So yeah, she's like, okay, I have experience. I want to take the upper amount, and then they didn't give her the job. And I'm 100% sure it's just because they wanted to find someone to pay them less. Like, oh no, that one. Can't really turn on audio at the moment, but just wanted to come say, love seeing your messages and tend to bring. Ah, thank you, small fox. Yeah, oh my god, you're so right. They all want 20, 20, 20. They want people in their 20s willing to work 20 hours of overtime for 20K a year. This is it. And like, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on a bunch of like job websites, and they're like, we want someone who's like under 30 that has 6 years of experience, that has a degree in this really specific field. And it's just, yeah, it's so lame. Like, it's just ridiculous. Oh yeah, by the way, I have an automatic feeder for my cats too. Yeah, automatic feeder, completely, really recommend. It is great. I feel like sexism probably has a lot to do with them not giving you the highest salary. Yeah, again, this is another thing. And this is something that I noticed a lot since I'm on LinkedIn so much now, and I fucking hate LinkedIn. But all of the positions are like managerial positions from managers, and I'm like, why don't you hire someone from within your company and then hire me for the normal associate position? But they don't want to do that. They don't want to promote people. They don't want to give you more money. They hire managers outside, pay them less. They get these people in. And here's the thing that bugs me is that these companies, they want you to already have like 6 years experience. Like a lot of the SNS jobs want me to have 6 years experience doing SNS for a similar company to them. And it's like, if I did, wouldn't I still just work at that other company? Because this is an entry level salary. Like, how comes you want, like, you want to hire someone with all this experience? A lot of the jobs I've been applying for, you need to speak at least 2 languages. Like, a lot of them want English, Japanese, and Chinese and Korean. But they don't want to pay that much money. And I'm surprised like how many jobs I've been applying to, and they want a native speaker of English and Japanese. It's like, one, it's very rare you're gonna find a native speaker of English and Japanese that is willing to work for this shitty salary. I'm sure they plan to never give her the highest salary. Yeah, that's the thing. They put the highest salary so they get more applicants, and then they're like, oh, sorry, you don't have enough experience. And it's just bullshit. Asking for someone a certain age is illegal in those places. I don't know, because like, here's the thing. Like, I feel like it is, but they don't really, like, it's fine. Like, it's like a gray area. And I feel like particularly in Japan, they do a lot of things. Like a lot of applications ask for pictures, and I'm like, I don't think that like that's legal. They want experienced people for no money and want you to be thankful. Oh my god, right? Like, the thing that pissed me off about the SNS, the job for like the candy company, is that we had to go through all this process, and they're clearly looking for a very experienced person, and I have far more experience. Like, I have enough for their shitty job. Like, the content they have on their SNS is just like, you know, like, I found a Pikachu vending machine, and it's like a reel. Honestly, a monkey could do it. I could do it. Anyone can do it. Like, anyone you've just given someone a smartphone could do this job. Like, I don't know why we're going through like 12 rounds of this, because anyone could do it. And here's the thing, is that they don't want to train people. And like most of the jobs I've worked at in Japan, I will arrive at the office my first day of the job, and I'll just start working. Like, they don't train you. They don't want to train people. And I feel like they shoot themselves in the foot. Like, maybe like 20, 30 years ago, you would apply for a job, join, and they would just train you for the job. Now you already need to be able to do the job before you arrive. I've seen so many roles on LinkedIn for data analyst roles, and it's like native Japanese, business, and English. Yeah, like there's a lot like that. And where are all these people? Like, because I know that, like, and I see those particular job listings go for months, and no one, like, it keeps going and going and going. It's like, this is why you can't find someone. Maybe if you would accept someone that has a little bit less Japanese or a little bit less English or something. It's just, yeah, they want a lot, but they're not willing to pay either. That's the thing. And then the fucking annoying thing is like I had an interview yesterday, and I think I'll get that one, but I don't know if I'll go with that company. But yeah, he said like the salary is non-negotiable. Oh yeah, the reason I might not take the one yesterday it was like a Kaiwa, like an English school, and they do offer training, which I was like, okay, great. But then the training is 6 days, 9 to 5 of training, and then they'll give you 20,000 yen. So like that's nothing. And I'm like, that's a lot of a commitment for a job that I might not even want to do. I think that's why they do it, because like it's sunken cost fallacy. They make you do all that training, so then after that you just stay in the job, because it's like, oh, I did all this training, so I guess I'll just stay here. I'm never quitting my union job. I want a union job. Oh my god. I need to look more into unions in Japan. This is my next step. I remember the college was hiring for a native Japanese speaker with a master's, required to be an assistant and grocery store cashier. Oh my god, a lot of stuff is like that. Like, I'll apply to jobs and I'm like, this seems interesting. And then you'll look at the job roles, and there's too many job roles. And then you'll get to the bottom and it's like, also, you'll be like a teacher, you'll be like a marketer, but you'll also be doing the dishwashing, you'll be doing the cleaning. It's like, what? Like, that's a bit cheeky. Yeah, I never understand why they need a photo. Okay, so this is how jobs are getting around this now, is that they ask for a video. And I've had to submit a lot of videos. And a lot of jobs I've seen, and I feel like this is only something that maybe you'd get away with in like Asia or like not the West, but a lot of applications I've seen ask for you to be attractive. And like that should not come into it. I applied for a job that wanted native Japanese and business English, even though I have the opposite, and they were like, okay, it works. So that's my current job. Yeah, like, again, like, I would suggest people to apply for jobs, even if they don't necessarily match the criteria. It's just annoying, is what it is. And I applied for a teaching job the other day, and they didn't accept me because I don't have a CELTA degree, like a little extra degree thing for them. And I'm like, I've been a teacher for 9 years, and like I've taught at like NTT and Hitachi at like the board of directors. Like, I don't want to take these because there's like a bunch of them, and like I don't really want to do that. Like, if you that again, I have all the experience. If you want someone with those qualifications, you should fund that. But like, I don't know, what can I say? I'm very already very anti-capitalist, so it's just been like a lot. It's just I knew it would be hard, but I didn't know it would just be this frustrating. Yeah, wow. 2 years of probation for a job is ridiculous. Like, a lot of jobs, yeah, they're like, that I've seen will say the salary for like the first 6 months is really low, and it's like bruh, and we're just trying to survive out here. Yeah, like, I think sometimes that the requirements might necessarily like that's why I've been applying for jobs where I might not necessarily it might not necessarily be required, but I'm also scared I'm gonna go through the process and start a job and immediately be overwhelmed. Please be attractive, trilingual, and want to make no money. Oh my god, this though, like because I arrived in Japan 9 years ago, and the salaries haven't really gone up unless you're doing like IT. And I thought about, like, so many people are like, oh, that's because you need to get into IT. And it's like, I don't want to work in IT. I don't want to work in an office. I live in Japan, but so far I never had one ask about attractiveness. It's usually sexist questions like, "Are you married?" Oh, I've had that once. Like, "Hi, Danny." I had that once where they asked if I was planning on having a kid, and I'm like, "No, that's none of your business." Like, you get uh, a lot of stuff like that. One time I was asked if I had a boyfriend. I had that once when I applied to work at the Eikaiwa. I did actually work with them part-time for like a year. But they were like, the guy was like, "Oh, do you have a boyfriend?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, it must be like a struggle for you teaching English when you're such an attractive woman." And I was like, "Oh, I'm okay, I guess." He's like, "Don't be humble. You know you're attractive." I'm like, "Oh, I just leave me alone. Like, I'm teaching kids, man. Leave me alone." Sorry about my cat, by the way. He's singing the song of his people. Yay. Hey, Dollhouse. We're just complaining about interviewing for jobs because I am going through it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I had a bunch of interviews. Most of them I managed to get, but then the job wasn't in my area. Like, I don't live near the job, and they lied about that, or they lied about the hours, or something like that. Like, I went through a long process. I had training, I had orientation, and then I found out that they only had a job, like a couple of positions for like a couple of hours a day, and they weren't near my house. And I'm like, you just wasted my time there. Maybe teaching English as a freelancer. See, I used to do that, but again, I need a job that gives me a visa, is the main thing. And also, teaching freelance English as a woman is annoying. Like, it can be a little bit dangerous. And I used to do that, as I mentioned before, and I had like a lot of weirdo students, like proper fucking weirdos. It's so weird that they're allowed to do that. Yeah, I feel like it got worse. Like, since there's been like a 6-year gap between last time I searched for jobs, I feel like it's harder this time. How did they lie about the hours? They didn't really lie. Here's the thing, is that they're just incredibly vague, and they're like, yeah, we have a bunch of positions, we have a bunch of schools around where you live. And then I got all the way to the end, and it's like, they didn't have anything near where I lived, and they only had, like, if I took every single job they had, it would only amount to like 6 hours of work a week. And that's, even a part-time job is normally at, like, between 20 and 26 hours, so that's like nothing. Like, it's no money, it's no hours, it's honestly just a waste of my time. How are you enjoying Golden Week? It's been pretty good, actually. I went to see the Mario movie, and today I'm seeing Guardians of the Galaxy. So I honestly, in Golden Week, I tried to stay inside because there's too many people. But there ain't no way they be asking you about boyfriends. Oh no, they ask so many personal questions. If you have a boyfriend, if you're gonna get married, if you're gonna have a kid, you always have to say that you will not have a kid and stuff like that. Konnichiwa. I used to work at One Up. They were pretty good. Oh, I don't know One Up. I've never heard them before. I'm interviewing with a few eikaiwas at the moment, and I have an interview in 45 minutes, and that's just for another PR SNS job to do with import-export. But I looked on Glassdoor, and the reviews for that company are really, really bad. But if they can offer me a job where I can just make content for funsies, then I would be willing to at least try. Then Japan wonders why the birth rate is so low. No, here's the thing though, is that a lot of companies are a bit reluctant to hire women if they think that you're gonna have a baby. So, like, I guess I just won't have a baby then. I would get angry if I was in an interview and they asked that. Yeah, like, recently the interviews I've been having, it's just been mostly me asking them questions, and a lot of the things is like, do you pay social security stuff like pension and health insurance? And they're always like, sometimes they're a little bit cagey about that. I'm like, well, legally, if I'm working more than 20 hours, you have to pay that, right? And then they always get a bit weird about that. Right, exactly, Emmy. Like, they're just vague. Like all these jobs, the biggest problem I've been having is that everything is so vague. So like you don't really know what the job is until you're like 2-3 interviews deep, and a lot of the time the hours they propose won't be the same, or like you'll like the salary will say it's this much, and then when you speak to them you'll find out, oh, but that salary is only after the probation period, so you have to work for us for like 6 months, blah 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 blah. There's a lot of bullshit. The English, I think it was like just working at a school job interview I had the other day. He said that transportation was included in the salary. I'm like, okay, but that's technically illegal. Like you can't, like legally, you're supposed to pay for transportation. You can't include it in the salary. Like you like just legally, it's a legal thing, right? And so like, yeah, and the thing is like when I bring up about shakai hoken, and transportation and stuff like that, they obviously don't like it, and it's hurting my chances, like asking about the salary and stuff like that. They don't like it. So, but I feel like if they turn me down just because I want basic social things, then I don't want that job anyways. Bye, Darian. Thank you for coming to my stream. So yeah, it's just been like a wild ride, honestly. I mean, I'm lucky that my last job gave me a severance package. I'm not like dying. I mean, it's not great, honestly. It could be better, but like, again, I don't really want to take a job that undervalues me. Hi everybody. Hi Eleni. So yeah, it's just been like a long month. I've been applying for jobs for like a whole month, and I sent so many applications. I've had so many interviews, and the experiences have just been so wild. And I feel like I'm getting better at it, maybe, but again, I know it's like a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know on Twitter and just in like the foreigner cinematic universe in Japan, a lot of people are losing their jobs now, and a lot of people are entering the job market. And the thing that messed me up is if you want to be an English teacher, normally there's like a hiring season because like the term starts, and when I lost my job, it ended up I entered looking for a job not on the term, like after the term was like after they already hired everyone, so I was pretty much fucked. And that's why I've been doing like jobs for like job interviews for SNS and marketing. The problem is again is like those jobs don't they want you to work so many hours in a Japanese office, and the salary isn't very good. But I wanted to try my hand at something that's not English teaching as my main job, because I have a bunch of side jobs. I like translate and localize Japanese games. I do SNS, and I make content for this app, an English speaking app, and I have like a bunch of things. I make a little bit of money from YouTube and stuff like that. So like, but so far my main job has only been English teaching, so I thought it would be nice to try something else. But again, like a lot of my friends too, they'll join like these startup companies, and there's a lot of startup companies in Japan, and I've been asked recently to join startup companies, and it's just such a big risk because you start off with such a low salary, and most businesses fail in 1 to 2 years, so it's like the chance of you failing and losing your job is really, really high. But there's also a chance that the company could do really well and you can make a lot of money. Oh my gosh, this is so stressful. What are the basic workers' rights for a job in Japan? Okay, so it depends on how many hours you work. So I think your rights only really start from 20 hours or more. So say you're working 20 hours or more, they're supposed to pay your transportation to and from work, and you're supposed to get health insurance and pension. Like your company is supposed to pay that. The only thing then you have to pay is like city tax. And like minimum wage is different depending on prefecture. So it really depends where you're living. I think Tokyo is like 1,000 yen or 1,100 yen. They should take it more seriously, especially with experienced applicants like you. Like, this is a problem I'm having. It's like I'm applying for English jobs, like teaching jobs, because I've been like a teacher for 9 years, and I've had a lot of like really good teaching jobs, like universities, companies. The school I worked at last is one of like the most prestigious in Tokyo, but they don't want that. They don't want experienced teachers. They want people who just arrive and they don't know their rights and they want to pay you minimum wage, and then after a year you leave and then they'll get another person. And that's unfortunately that's what they want. Japanese work ethic is so exhausting, but even when I wanted to make money while doing school, I wasn't allowed to have a part-time job. Yeah, this is another thing. If you're a student, you're also capped on hours. I always wondered like about being how do students survive, because I could never be a student. I always wanted to formally study Japanese like full-time, but I just could never afford it. You need a lot of money, or you need like your parents to fund you or something like that. You can get a part-time job, but your hours are really, really capped. But here's a really important thing. The student visa is one of the most flexible for working in different things. So if you have a student visa, you can work in a maid cafe or a restaurant. I can't do that on my visa. And yeah, most people with actual working visas are very limited. Like the one I'm on now, I can really only work in education. With the startup sponsor visa, it really depends. Companies can sponsor visas, but this is another thing that happens. To sponsor someone's visa, it's pretty hard. Like I imagine it costs a bit of money, and you need to make a contract and stuff like that. So a lot of companies will agree to sponsor it without looking at how hard it is, and then later on down the road, they'll tell you they can't sponsor it, and you're fucked. So I've had friends who worked at a startup for like months being told, oh, we'll renew your visa. And then right before the time they renewed their visa, the company's like, actually we can't. And then that person would have to go back to their country because there's not enough time to find another job. So this is something I would really like just have you be aware of. Like this is something that can happen. That's awful to hear. Yeah, it sucks. Like for me, I still have like almost a year on my visa, so like the visa thing isn't a really big deal, but I still need the job to sponsor the visa. And I know it's like English teaching jobs that I've looked at, almost all of them are part-time, but like super part-time. So they want an English teacher to come in for like 1 hour on Monday and 1 hour on Tuesday. And I see these jobs posted constantly. Like they can't find someone for that job, and it's like, you don't offer a visa and you're offering like what, 1 hour of work at like what, 3,000 yen? Like how is someone supposed to do that job? Like it would be impossible to fit around your schedule. Like why would you think that someone would just be able to do that job? So like I see the same jobs constantly posted, and it's like, you're not gonna find an applicant for this. That's why I always renew it 3 months before the expiry date. Yeah, you're totally right. I fucked up last time, and I left it to the last month, and I had some like problems because it was around New Year's. So like the office, the immigration was closed, so it was like really, really stressful. So I would really recommend renewing it 3 months in advance. But yeah, it's just a lot to think about if you want to live in Japan, or if you do live in Japan. I swear that's most of the offers I get. Yeah, like it's been like that. Like I've been offered a lot of jobs, but it's like, okay, you're offering me 4 hours of work a week, and obviously they can't sponsor a visa for 4 hours anyway, so you're not going to get a visa from that. And it's like, you're giving me nothing. So yeah, like I don't know, like the job interview I have that's in 30 minutes, I don't know, it doesn't, I don't even feel like I want to take the job. I'm just gonna ask them a bunch of questions, but they didn't even say the salary for this job. Like I don't know what the salary is until I ask them. And even then, sometimes I'm in the interview and I'm asking them what is the salary, and they're really cagey about it. And it's like, look, I'm just trying to survive, my guy. Have you ever done English tutoring instead of working in a school? I like working in a school better, just personally, and I don't like working freelance or going to people's houses. So that's just me. And English tutoring, I feel like you can't get a visa from that. Hi, Bleb. How are you? I'm good. I'm just killing time until my job interview, so. But also, like, another thing I thought about going into is like tourism. I've been looking at some tourism jobs, but again, I'm just nervous to go into an industry I haven't been in before, just because I've never tried it. Like, what if I'm bad at it? Like, what if I don't like it? So there's also that. But I'm trying to break out of that mindset, and that's why I've been applying to a lot of marketing jobs. I haven't got any interviews yet, so I'm looking for online work. Yeah, like, this is another thing. I've been looking at remote work. My friend works remotely for a company. And here's another thing. My friend started working remotely for a tech company, and the job's pretty good. Like, the pay isn't amazing, but she likes the job. But then, after a few months, 40% of that company, the workers got laid off. She didn't get laid off, but she's constantly feeling like, what if I get laid off? Because it comes in waves. But then when I was on Gaijin Pop the other day, I saw her company pop up and they're hiring people, and it's like, you've just let go of 40% of your workforce and you're rehiring. It's just so scummy. Like, there's a thing, like, they hire people, they have you work for a few years, they have to pay you a little bit of raise, and then once they don't want to pay you anymore, they'll lay you off, and they'll just rehire someone else for like minimum wage. Sucks. Going to people's houses doesn't sound safe, to be honest. Yeah, like, that was my problem, because I used to teach in cafes, and the thing is like, when you're a female teacher, it's always a way. If you're a female teacher, you're only mostly gonna get men, and if you're a male teacher, you'll probably just get older women, and it's just uncomfortable, like, because, you know why they're there. They just want to be around someone of the opposite sex. Seems sketchy if they won't even tell you the salary, makes you wonder why. And yeah, so many jobs are like that right now. Like, they're so vague, and they always say from this amount to that amount, but it's never ever that amount. They'll never pay you the higher amount. I hate when they don't say anything about salary and act as if it's the least important stuff about the job. Yeah, they don't like to talk about salary, and it's like, I have to pay rent. I have 2 cats. You know, I can't, like, salary is very fucking important to me. Like, again, like, I've been working in Japan for 9 years, and like, my last job had a pretty good salary. So again, I'm like, I can't just go back. Like, I can't work for minimum wage. Like, my lifestyle's pretty expensive in the sense that I live in a house and I have 2 cats. Like, I don't want to work an entry-level job for, like, students, and like, they just don't understand that. Companies re-rolling gacha accounts be like, yeah, it really, really feels like that. Like, it seems like, because a lot of companies, they're like, that I've interviewed with, they're like, yeah, we want, like, loyalty. We want someone that will work for us for a long time. But it seems like, for foreign workers, they try to get rid of you after like 3 or 4 years because they have to pay you too much. Like, I feel like that was an issue at my last company, because after I worked there for like 6 years, they paid me like rises each time, and I feel like in the end they were happy that I didn't work for them anymore, because they can just hire a new person and start from the bottom again, and it's just easier and they save more money. But then like, the biggest problem that schools have with hiring foreign teachers is that there's a lot of weirdos that come here. Like, I've worked with, when I used to be in AOT, my last company, not so much. Like, I didn't really interact with other foreign teachers, but when I was in AOT, there was so many freaking weirdos. Like, mostly, like, 24-year-old Western guys, and they just have no social skills, and they're just a bit weird. Like, this one guy, this British guy, like, he was nice, but he only ate bread. Like, that's the only thing he would eat, and like, part of the job is you have to eat with the students. And then I knew another guy that was creeping on the 14-year-old girls and stuff like that. So this is a common thing that comes up every single time, and it's like, if you would just pay people more, or like they would stay longer, and then you wouldn't have to keep rehiring. But you keep rehiring, and it's impossible to vet such a large amount of people. So like you keep rehiring, you have these issues every single time. Why don't you just pay a little bit more and get someone you know that's not gonna be a pedophile or something, right? They want people to work a lot for very little money. It's so unfair. Like, how are people meant to live? Like, this is an issue that's happening all over the world, and I can only speak for Japan, but like the cost of living is going up. Like my electricity bill in the winter was like 35,000 yen. I don't know like how many dollars that is, like $400. I don't know, like it was extreme. And like consumption tax went up. Like when I arrived in Japan, it was 4%. Now it is 10%. I tweeted about this, but like I know this is like not a big deal maybe in the scheme of things, but like Japanese fashion has doubled in price. So like all these things, like the amount that I'm paying for stuff has doubled in almost every single area, like groceries, bills, stuff like that. But everyone's salary is the same, and particularly like English teacher salaries, I noticed, have even gone down. So it's like, how are we expected to live? Like I feel like maybe Japan's not as bad as America and Europe, but it's still pretty bad. When you ask for a pay rise, they're like, why don't you find a different job, right? And then the CEO earns so much money. Like these companies are making so much money, but they don't want to pay their workers. And jobs involving kids should have be way more careful about kids' safety. You are so right. Like I was really surprised I got hired to be an English teacher and just left alone with a bunch of kids, and they didn't even do like a background check on me. I could have been anyone. And like I've worked with people who I would not want my kids around if I had kids. Like I've worked in schools with some weirdos, and it's just that this weirdo will work for very little money because they want to be around kids. So so many people who come here are so unhinged. One guy I was working with cursed out my boss just because my boss said he can't curse in front of clients. Yeah, I've worked with so many weirdos here. And again, like when I was working in schools, it's like these people are around children. Just it's bizarre. Yeah, Salvador price, but it's lesser quality a lot of the time. Yeah, so I tweeted about Japanese fashion going up, like almost doubling. I use Ankh Rouge as my reference point because Ankh Rouge has always been pretty cheap. And I remember, like, let's say 5 years ago, a top and a skirt would be like 5,000 yen each. So you could get a whole setup for like 10,000 yen. Now, a skirt or a top is 10,000 yen at least. And the quality is not great, maybe even worse than it was before. And I understand that raw materials have gone up, so I honestly understand that it might be more expensive. So if it was 5,000 yen before, I could understand 6,000 or 7,000 yen. But 10, 11, 12, 13,000 yen, it's just ridiculous for like a not good quality top or skirt. It's ridiculous. And then after I tweeted that, a lot of people were retweeting Ankh Rouge because they posted a t-shirt, and this t-shirt was 10,000 yen. You cannot sell a t-shirt at Ankh Rouge for what, $100, $110? It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Yeah, you're so right. When limited sizing as well as prices are ridiculous. Yeah, again, it's just I stopped buying a lot of Japanese fashion. The weird thing is that Liz Lisa has stayed the same. Like Liz Lisa was always a little bit more expensive because it's like, I mean, the quality is not bad and the designs are really, really nice, and it's like a brand name. And Liz Lisa has pretty much stayed the same, maybe got a little bit more expensive. And now Ankh Rouge is more expensive than Liz Lisa, which is hilarious because there's no reason for it. With the electricity prices like that, have you considered getting solar panels? I really considered that. I don't plan. I think I'm gonna stay in this house for a year max, and then I'm thinking to get a mortgage on a house, and then I can think about putting in solar panels. But you're totally right. I've really thought about it. I just need to think about where I'm gonna move next. Courage is pricing harder than DIA back in the day. You're so right. Like it's so expensive and like for no reason. But Courage are really good at marketing, and they get a lot of famous Japanese influencers and models and idols and things like that. And I think that's why, you know, how they got so popular in such a short time. But it doesn't mean that you can charge so much money, because that will be their downfall. That agreed. Dream VS is a bit cheaper. Oh yeah, you know, like Dear My Love. I'm not sure if Dear My Love ships overseas, but Dear My Love is great. Really recommend them. They're super, super cheap. I can't wear J fashion anymore because it's not my size. I'm pretty sad about it. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, they don't, like, there's normally just 1 or 2 sizes. And a lot of the time they don't put stretch in. So, yeah. It's like, what's the point? And like I have a thing with skirts, like a lot of skirts just don't fit me, and I'm not even like that big, but they just don't fit, and I'm like I had no idea the fashion prices changed so much. Yeah, they really, really did, like doubled. And it's only certain shops. I feel like it's not every single shop, because as I mentioned before, Liz Lisa didn't go up that much, maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 yen, which is fair. Like, again, like I love Japanese fashion, but it's not that high quality. Like, you can't be charging $150 for a t-shirt when it's not high quality. Like, it's made in the same factory as like Wego, right? So it's like there's no reason for it to be that expensive. Karuizawa seems to be the place to go. Yeah, I really thought about moving to Nagano, honestly, or Karuizawa. If I end up working remotely, then I might do that. It all depends what my next job is gonna be. I have a few projects that I'm gonna work on that might make me money, and honestly, like, it depends if I find a boyfriend and I get married. Like, it depends on a lot of things, honestly. Dream VS also have larger sizes for a Japanese brand. Yeah, that's true. Like Dear My Love as well, they do a lot of bigger sizes, so it's nice. Again, like I've been wearing a lot of AC/DC rag recently, and that's because AC/DC rag have bigger clothes for like almost any size, and like that's how it should be. I miss Milklim. Their sizing was more forgiving. Ah, Milklim. Haven't heard that name in years. Like, yeah, I feel like a lot of Japanese brands shut down, particularly during the pandemic, and a lot of it is because they refuse to make bigger sizes, and the overseas market is such an untapped resource. Like, because I work with AC/DC Rag, and I know a lot of like the goings on, and they make so much money from overseas, and these Japanese brands, they could be doing the same. They just don't want to. They're just not interested in the foreigners as a concept. Like, they don't want to work with us. They can't be bothered to hire someone to go on the website in English and stuff like that. And it's such a shame, because a lot of brands that shut down, I'm like, if you had hired one foreign person to work in your office like a couple of days a week, and like made an English speaking section, and like looked into shipping overseas, you could have survived. You could have made so much money. And it makes me so mad, because often it's just laziness and like xenophobia and like indifference. Like, they just can't be bothered. And it pisses me off, because like foreigners love Japanese fashion. That's a lot of, like, because I work with Japanese brands quite a lot, and a lot of them will ask for advice, and the best advice I can give is make bigger sizes and ship overseas. And one brand I work with and I speak with a lot is Melfi Memory, and we had this conversation, and they started honestly to ship overseas, and they have their own like shopping service, and they do make bigger sizes, and I don't think that's great, and I feel like brands should be a little bit more like Melfi Memory. Melfi Memory are a little bit too expensive for me personally. Because I did live streams for them, and I've tried on all their clothes, and I have a couple of the pieces that they gave me, and the quality is pretty good. But again, I'm just a tight ass. Like I honestly just buy most of my clothes secondhand anyways. The problem is like now that I'm wearing Tenchi Kaiwai, it's so new that I can't really buy much stuff secondhand. ACDC rag is so cool. I wish it was my style because there are a lot of places to buy online overseas. Yeah, okay, I love ACDC rag, but I'm constantly like, can you make more clothes that are a little bit toned down? Like, I really want to work with them and make like a line under them that's a little, because my issue with them as well, I think maybe it's something for you, Dollhouse, that like I like clothing that is very effeminate. And a lot of their clothes are like edgy and androgynous, and I think that's so cool and sexy and hot, but it doesn't suit me. So I want to work with them, and I want to make like some dresses. I don't know, something a little bit girly. Yo, for real, stores seem so lazy with not selling overseas. And I had this with a brand I used to work with, and they sold like jewelry, like magical girl themed jewelry, and their stuff was super freaking cute. I'm like, oh my god, and it was so popular. It was so popular at the time. I did one shoot with them. I'm gonna make a video about this actually, because it ended up being not a great experience for me, but I did a photo shoot with them, and I got so many DMs from people overseas that are like, I need to own a piece of their jewelry. And so I mailed them. I'm like, how can people buy your jewelry? And they were like, I don't know, like selling overseas seems hard, and like they're scared of the concept of like money going overseas, and like because they would have to use stuff like PayPal. PayPal isn't that popular in Japan, and like obviously they only really take Japanese credit cards. So ultimately they didn't end up selling overseas. And you know what happened? People took their design and remade it. They never got as good as the original. The original was amazing. And so like so many companies and like indie artists made similar stuff, and then those people sold overseas, and then eventually people just got bored of it, and then that's it. So it's like you could have made so much money, and I don't see that artist anymore. They used to post on Twitter, but I haven't seen them post anymore. So I think they just kind of went out of business, and it's like, you could have made so much money, and it's so sad because their shit was so cute. Like, it was so cute. Yeah, it's not feminine enough for me. It's more like streetwear, which isn't my vibe. Yeah, like, because I only recently got into Tenchi Kaiwai, which is very streetwear-y, and it's very different to my old aesthetic, and I do like it. But my biggest beef with Tenchi Kaiwai is that it's all like these shorts, and they're very boyish, and I love boyish clothes on other people, but for me it just doesn't suit me. So like I want them to do more skirts. So oh, that's one thing, is that my next purchase I want to get an iPad so I can start designing again, and I want to design some pieces for ACDC rag which are a little bit more toned down and a little bit more girly, because I had this conversation with the owner, and he's like, oh, but like that's not really our style though. And I'm like, okay, but if you want to make money, you need to appeal to more kinds of people than one specific demographic. Until one of them starts making bank, they won't start. Yeah, but like there are like ACDC Rag and Liz Lisa and Melfi Memory, they make quite a lot of money from overseas customers. I guess they just don't really talk about it that much. Yeah, so like I wish that more brands would start selling overseas, because like their shopping service, and this is one thing I thought about doing, is starting a shopping service, but I just freaking hate the post office. Like, it's always so hot in there, and the lines always super long, and if that would be like the majority of my job, just in the post office, I think I would literally go insane. But I will think about it. I will think about it. I thought about also making just like there needs to be a website that just stocks Japanese brands and makes it easier, like, and like puts them in a warehouse and sends them. I've had this idea for a while. Like, I've had a lot of ideas. Sad that regular capitalist greed can't overcome laziness and xenophobia. You were so right. I follow Mikan. I remember that episode where she had problems with PayPal holding her brand's money for a long time for no reason. Yeah, that's another thing. Like, again, I don't like PayPal either. If they would accept foreign credit cards, that's the thing. Like, I don't really know how this works. I don't know how ACDC Rag sell their stuff online. I think they use like, you know, there's like Shopify. I feel like it's one of those websites. I'm gonna look into this because I'm very interested. I remember that jewelry lady. She was pretty weird and rude. It was sad because I wanted a necklace so bad at the time. Oh my god, right? I'm gonna make a video about that jewelry brand because I had a really bad experience with them, and I did a lot of work for them, and they actually owe me money and they never paid me. And I did a photo shoot for them and they never gave me the pictures, and I felt really shit. I felt like the pictures were ugly. But then I found out they were selling postcards of me. They didn't even tell me they were going to make this into postcards. They were selling postcards of me, and a bunch of people had these friggin' postcards, and I'm like, you didn't give me the pictures, you didn't give me the postcards. Like, it was very bizarre. But yeah, she was weird. She didn't pay me. She didn't want to work. She didn't want to send her stuff overseas. And also, like, you couldn't just buy her jewelry. It was like you had to go to these really random events, and then it was like a lottery. It was really bizarre. The paperwork for international transactions can be a bit onerous, but usually they can easily make bank. No, you're so right. Like, they could just hire someone to do this. Like, particularly the bigger brands. I wonder if Ank Rouge ship overseas. I'm pretty interested in this because, like, I feel like, because they make so much money, I feel like, so I feel like they should. Do they? I don't know. I'm gonna check this later. I find all this very, very fascinating. But yeah, and then another thing is that I just filmed a video. I'm going to upload this video later, but I worked with a Japanese brand and I had a very bad experience with them. And again, I did a bunch of work from them. They never paid me, blah, 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 blah. But their business model was they would go to Korea and buy clothes, bring them back here, and then they would resell them for 4 times the price. And yeah, that was their business model, and I thought that was kind of unethical, a little bit interesting. I don't have an issue with reselling clothes, but they would buy something for like 3,000 yen and then sell it for like 18,000 yen. I'm like, okay, that's a bit weird. They also didn't really make a profit. It was really, really stupid. I don't know. Like, a lot of these companies, like, I hear the business model and it's like, this isn't gonna make money. Like, why would you do this? And then, cause like, if you go in 109 or Lafayette, you'll notice that shops come and go all the time. So many of these companies don't think about how much money they're gonna be making. They just start a business and like hope for the best. It is wild. Please share what you discovered about overseas payments with us when you find out. I have an interest in opening my own small brand too one day. Oh, that's really great. You should open it. Yeah, like I'm gonna do some research about that, and I think that's where a lot of little brands go wrong. Like, they just need to do a lot more research, and it's so sad because there's so many indie Japanese designers that I follow online, and their stuff is so good. Like, it's so good. And you can't buy it. There's not even a shop to buy it in Japan. You need to go to like an artisan event or something. And a lot of the time, you can't even buy it at the store. You need to enter a lottery to win to be able to buy it. It is like extreme. And if you're like me and you have ADHD, you just lose interest immediately. So it's like, it ultimately doesn't end up working out for them. And a lot of these brands just don't know how to promote themselves. It's really, really sad. So like, I like to highlight small brands when I can, but I also want those brands to be cooperative and allow people to buy their stuff. Like, I see people complaining about this on Twitter all the time. It's like there's something they want to buy from Japan. It's like, please, let me give you my money. Like, I want to give you money. And this happens to me all the time. I want to buy something and I just can't because like you have to reserve it 4 months in advance and then you have to enter a lottery or blah 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 blah. I already lost interest, but maybe that's just me. I don't mind reserving something if it's big, but I remember I went to Rosemary years ago and I wanted to reserve the Sailor Moon hair clips, and they were like, well, I wanted to buy it because they had them in store, but then it was like, oh, they're reservation only and we don't know when it would arrive at your house, but it would take about 3 months. I'm like, I'm not gonna wait 3 months for a hair clip. I'll get bored of that immediately. I'm using my alt account here, but I've been watching your videos for a while. I wanted to say thank you for helping me with overcoming my anxiety since arriving in Japan. You're an inspiration. Oh, thank you. Honestly, like, the first step is always the hardest, but once you get over the first step, things can only get easier from there. And yeah, I would encourage people to move to Japan or like come here. Japan's not for everyone, but for a lot of people it's very, very comfortable, and you have no way of knowing until you get here. It really depends on the person. Yeah, so many messages from my blog of people asking how to buy foodie stuff from Japan. Oh my god, right? It's like, the sad thing is like a lot of the time you can tell they didn't consider like foreigners or any overseas countries at all in any of their decision making, and it's sad and it's also just stupid. It's like, you can make so much money, like we want to give you our money, and that's the one thing that I wanted to do, is like work more with companies getting their stuff overseas. So yeah, that's something I want to work on in the future. So yeah, anyways, okay, my job interview is starting in 10 minutes. It's just like a Zoom call. So I might do another live stream the day after tomorrow, and I'll let you guys know how that interview goes. I just recorded a video about working with a shitty company, shitty fashion company in Japan. I'll upload that in a few days. I have another video about living in Japan I recorded with my friend. I think I'm gonna upload that tonight. So yeah, thank you for coming to my live stream. I had such a good time chatting with anyone. I want to do more chatting streams like this. Funnily enough, I planned this out for about 5 years, and yet there is so much I overlooked. It's crazy. Do you have any stories to share when you arrived, or is that private? Oh, okay, I'll make a video specifically on that. Anyways, thank you so much for coming, guys. I had a really, really good time. And yeah, I'll do my best in my interview. I'm not that confident. I feel like, because I don't have a background in SNS, I feel like maybe they won't want to accept me. Oh, I forgot to mention this is the second interview. The first one I had for that was a video interview, and I had to take a 40-minute online test, and that was stressful. I cannot believe that I passed that section, because that test was wild. I had to translate a bunch of stuff in Japanese. I had to like make advertisements for products. It was absolutely wild. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. See you next time.